All right, good morning, ladies. So what I'm going to show you today, how we use the login features using data sets, okay? Now, we modified the projects that we were working on before, and we went and added to we went to the Solution Explorer, and then here we have the database, and then we added a new table. You click on Add New Table, and we call this table Users Table. Okay, in the Users Table, we have username, user password, user phone, and then user email. All right, and then this one is a unique identifier, just to ensure that we have a unique identifier. Now, if we go to we don't have any record in here. So if you right-click on this and then you show table data, there is no record in here. All right. Now, we modified the website also we added a couple pages. If we look at the Solution Explorer, we actually have a page called Register. And if you look at this Register page, we have few labels, we have text fields, and then we have all of this inside a table to make it look better. And the way that we created a table, and for those ones that wanted to do it on their own, if you don't have it, I might put the link here so you can download it from YouTube. All you do is that you click on HTML and insert table, and then you can, in the code, you can look at you can decide on how many tables that you want. And after this, all we did, how many rows that we want, and after that, we did what? If you go to the design, just simply from the standards here, click and drag the buttons, the labels. Here we have a labels, and then we added the text boxes. All right, so that's for the register. Now in here you have also this password and this password are actually password field. So what you do is that in the property, what you can do is that you can actually say these are in the input type. Select the text field. In the text mode here, you select the text mode and then you make that password. All right. So all of this just to design your form. Now the buttons, we have register button and then cancel button. There is no code in those yet. So what we want to do is that we wanted to go to the Solution Explorer here, and this is your website, DB website. What we want to do is that we want to add something new. This is called add a click. Right click on this and then add a new item. And in the new item, we have something called data set. You see that? Data set. All right. What is data set? Data set allow you to actually create SQL statement without knowing the SQL syntax. So if you want to do insert, if you want to do update, if you want to do delete, if you want to do basically the update, insert, update, delete, you don't have to remember those SQL syntax. So I'm going to click on data set, and I'm going to call this, you can change the name of this if you want. Okay, I'm going to call it data set 1, for example. All right, you can call it user data set, whatever, right? So, and then you click on add. Now it will give you a warning here. It'll tell you, okay, wait a minute, you're trying to create data set. It needs to be in a folder called app code. Now, so far we've seen a folder called app data. But add code is that where you include things like this, okay, data sets. So yes, I'm going to create it and then put it in here. Now, if you notice here in the data set that you have actually created a folder for you called app code, and here's my data set. All right. Now, what can you do with this data set? Okay. You have tables here, right? So you see that data table. So I can click and drag a table, or I can click and drag a table adapter. Do you see that? Or if you don't want to do that, you click on the Solution Explorer here. You click on the user and just drop it in here. You see that? All right, the screen stopped working, so let me pause the recording. All right, so as I said, you click on the Solution Explorer, and then you can drop in your the table that you want to work with. Now, if you look at this here, you have already something called fill data, get data. What does that do for you? It actually allow you to do what? It allow you to add. Basically, it's your select statement. So it goes and get all the data for you from the database. Already got you that method. All right. Now you can add more queries to this. So for example, you can right-click here and add query. Do you see that? So when you click on add query, you can select what type of query that you want to add. Okay, so you can say, I want to use SQL statement. Okay, we want to use an SQL statement, and I click on next. Now I'll tell you what type of SQL statement do you want to use. You have different SQL statement. Select that returns rows. That means multiple rows. Select that returns a single value, one record. Okay, that means usually using a unique identifier, the unique ID that we have for that table. Update that allow you to do an update to an existing record. So if you want to update your profile, you will have to use something called like this, update profile. If you want to delete, allow you to delete a particular record. But what we're interested in, since we are creating a new, we're registering, so we want to insert. An insert statement allow you to add data to your table. So I'm going to select insert, and I'm going to click on next. All right. Now notice already it gave you the syntax for that insert statement. It says insert into table. What is the user table? The name is called user table, and these are the fields that it's expecting. This you have the following fields in your database: username, user pass, user. There is a problem here because we did not update the database. Okay, let me just update the database because we don't have these fields anymore. Okay, I deleted them. Okay, I'm going to update the database, so this one is not. We will get a different one. All right, I'm going to cancel this. Let me just pause for a minute. All right, so what I did is basically updated the database, and then we got the table that we're working with. All right, so now what we have in here, again, I'll repeat the same thing. So you do add new query, and then you want to use an SQL statement. You click on next. What type of SQL statement you want to select? You want to do on this with this table? I'm going to use insert, so I'm going to click on insert, and here is my query, right? So when you want to call this insert, it expects the following value: username, user password, user phone, and then user email. So if I click on next, and it'll give you the name of the query. What is the name of the query? Insert query. So I'm going to leave it as is, and then we click on next, and then finish. Now notice, what is the name of that function called? Insert query, right? You can call it insert query, or you can call it insert whatever. But this is a function basically that I will call. Two things that are important. Do you see this thing? Called user table adapter. That is the one that we will be using. The user table is the adapter is the basically the link between my interface and my view. All right, my database and my view. So this, if I want to interact with the database, I just simply use this table adapter, and it will manage everything for me. All right. So that is the first part. I'm going to give you a minute to create this, and then we'll continue after. Go ahead. Okay. All right, so we've done with this. We've done with this one, this data set. Now, if you want to do update, we'll do the update later on. But this is how you do the insert. Now, we need to save it. Just if you run it, it will actually save it. Now, if I go to the register page, right? We want to go to the register page. If we make that smaller. Okay, we have the register page. Here's my register page. And I need to do what? We want to go to the register code. All right? Two things that we need to do. First, I'm not going to, usually what we need to do in this page, we need to take what? The information from the page, right? And then all these fields, and then do what with them? Put them in the database, right? But you need we need to do validation. I'm not going to do that part right now. All we need to do is I want to test my data to see if it's going into the database or not. So first, let's make sure that we name this property. We didn't name this properly, so I'm going to pause it and rename all these fields, okay? So we've changed the names of these text fields so we know how we access them in the code, all right? So, and I changed this to retype password. So if we click on the register, double click on the register, what do we expect to do when we double click on the register? We want to take the information and do what with it? Insert into the database. But in order to do that, we need to use this table adapters that we just created, dataset table adapters. So how do we use the table adapter we have? So we're going to use using, you type in using, dataset why is it not showing here? It should show. Okay, so the reason it wasn't showing is that we did not compile it and run it. So I compiled it, I ran the website, and then we were okay. Now we need to use that data set that we created here, dataset1.xd. Actually, that's the whole name, which is wrong. It should have been just, anyway, we'll just leave it the way we named it. So anyway, I'm going to use using dataset. Notice it came out, okay? Now this, by doing this, it allows you to use all the table adapter that you have in that data set, all right? So in the code here, in this button register code, I'm gonna do a simple thing first. I'm gonna just have two lines, one line to create the data set table adapter. Remember what was that table adapter? If you go to the data set, we have a data set, we have a table adapter called user table adapter, all right? So if I go back to the code, I'm gonna say user table adapter. Do you see that? It came out. I'm gonna call it USR table adapter, just say TBL, okay, for now. Equal what? Equal new user table adapter. So that allow me to do what? That allow me to create an object of that table adapter. Once I create the object, I can use it, all right? Now remember, there was a function in that table adapter that we created. There was a query. There are two functions. One of them is called fill, and the other one is called insert query, if you remember, right? So if I type in USR dot user table dot, if I type in insert, all right? So you can actually type in insert or insert query, both, okay? Both of them will be okay, right? Okay, so what do I have? I have username, user password, user phone, and user email. Even this one, same thing, okay? It's asking you to insert the following records, all right? So I'm gonna take the first one, insert, and what do? I just simply do what? Pass the value that I wanna insert. Now, in this example, I'm gonna show you that I'm just gonna put hard-coded value to test it to see if it works. After that, we modify it to get the values from the screen. So what do I do in here? The first thing I need to pass is the username. So ABC, for example. comma. What's the next value that it's expecting? Password, okay? The password 123. The next thing is expecting what? Phone, right? So we have a special phone. The next thing it's expecting is an email. So I'm going to put abc@aaa.com. Okay? And then close it. All right? Now, this is just to test it because you want to test, make sure that it works first. Now, if I run this now, if I run this register page, what should happen is that it will show me the information. Now, when I run it, you see all these are my fields. Now, if I run it, obviously there's a problem with the layout. We can fix that later. Now, if I click on register, what should happen? It should actually insert the record where? Where is the record inserted? In the database. So to test it and make sure that actually works, so we can stop this and go to the database. Here's my user table. Right click on it and then do what? Show table data. And we should have the record that we inserted in the page. Okay, so that is how you do the registration. Obviously, this information is not the right way, but at least I tested that the insert statement is actually working and the data is going to the database. The next step to do is what? You need to take these fields that you have and then pass it to this query. And how do we do that? That thing is easy, pretty easy. So if we go back to that page, register page, double click on that code, and then here, what do we do? Instead of doing this, first we need to do what? There's two things that you need to do. You get the input. Okay. Validate data. Remember when we talked about this, how do you validate data? There's different ways to validate data, remember? You can do validate HTML5. You can just say these fields cannot be empty, required fields. You could do validate using JavaScript, all right? What we do it at the client. You can validate at the server side where you can validate here and send back the result, all right? Visual Studio also has validate functions, and these validate functions actually I have a YouTube video on the same playlist that you can view, all right? I'm not gonna do the validate in this section because it makes it longer, but I'm gonna show you how we get the data and then put it in the database, all right? So to get the input, how do you get the input? We need to define a few fields. What are the few fields? String. Okay, string what? What do we have? Username equal to what? Equal to what? TXT user. Do you see that? Dot text. That's your first field. Now, string user phone password equal what? TXT pass dot text. And then you string. You need to do that. String user email equal txt email dot text. And then the last thing, string user phone equal txt phone dot text. All right. Now, instead of this, all you have to do is use these field names. Instead of these hard-coded values, what do? We actually put the field names, okay? Now, to make sure that they are in the right order, I would just delete it again, delete all of this part, and start typing just to make sure that I got the right order. So the first thing is asking for username, so I have username, okay? Why do we have these here? We have them twice. Okay, it depends on how, okay, so I got user name, first one. It's funny. And then what else? The next one is user password. What's the next one? What? User phone. Oh, that's because they are the same parameters, that's why. Okay. And the next one is what? User email. Okay. Okay. Now we have a label. What does the label say? We have a label that says what? We have a label in the label output, right? Label output dot txt. I'm going to say success. You are registered. Obviously, there's a lot more that need to be done here because you need to make sure that the insert was successful, and then you need to inform the user it was not successful. You could have a duplicate user. There's a lot more that need to be done, just a simple insert. I mean, this is just to get you started, okay? You are registered. Okay? All right? Let's test it and see how it works, okay? So I'm gonna run this again. And I'm gonna put my data, let's say Ali F, for example, password AAA, and then type password AAA, phone, we had 555, so I'm gonna try 666, and then email alif@abc.com. And then I click on register. Okay, it says you are registered here. Now, if I go to the database, if we go back to the project, what should happen? What should we see in the project? We should see in the project let's stop at this for a minute. What should we see in the project? If we go into that table again, we should see that table, that data in there. All right, maybe we need to refresh, close this again. Sometimes it does that, okay? Where is that? User table. Now, show table data. Now you got your 2 records. All right? So that is how you do the register. Now, typically, if it's register and then it is what? It's successful, where should you send them back? You can keep them on the same page, or you can transfer them to the index page, to the main page, right? So I'm going to show you how we do that, show you how we redirect your request after it was successful to the main page, okay? All right, so the last part, again, this is just to get you started, by the way. I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this page to make it functional. I mean, to make it user functional means that the validation is not done. How we actually monitor if the database insert was successful or not. So all of that you will take in the advanced courses. But for now, when I'm done registering and I think it was okay, maybe I want to just say, take me to the main page, or make me to the index page, or take me to a main, like the main menu, whatever. So after you do the insert, you just simply add response.redirect to the page that you want to go to. All right. Sometimes you have the tilde, but I couldn't do it here on the Mac. So you can actually do the tilde and then slash, and it will take you there. All right. So if you run it, just to show you what happens, it is running, okay, but let's run it now. So what happens in here, you type in your information, okay, whatever information. Obviously, I said you need to validate that data, and then you click on register. Right now, it's going to direct you right away to the index page, okay? But you do it properly, you need to inform the user that it was successful, alert, whatever it is, and then you take it to the next page. So register, take you to the database, to the main page. All right, we'll use this in the login next time. All right, so that is how we do registration, okay? It should give you enough knowledge on how to do registration. We're done with this lecture, and I'll show you another on the next time, okay?